Good morning. Buenos dias. I hope you are well, staying positive and focus on what you can control. And welcome. Bienvenidos to Cafecito con HACE. Drop in, use the comment section to network, to engage, to ask your questions as we have our conversation today. And drop in where you're tuning in from and network. My name is Patricia Mota, and I serve as president and CEO of HACE, a national organization whose mission is to positively impact the workplace by cultivating the community of talent, providing insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. And we are gearing up. The end of this month, April 30th and May 1st, is our National Leadership Summit, our Sembrando el Futuro celebration, our annual fundraiser that really an opportunity to engage in professional development, network with just amazing people from across the country that are genuinely here to support you in your career, that want to answer questions, want to support you, want to connect with you. So check out the website for more information. And you may have seen, if you're following HACE, our theme this year is Juntos We Rise. Together we rise. And we mean that across the board in various aspects, whether it is partnerships that we have, whether it's across sectors, whether it's as individual, ensuring that we're supporting your career and that we're moving the needle to advance and make sure folks are getting meaningful career opportunities and making sure folks that are in their careers are able to thrive and advance and ensure that we're supporting communities across the board. And so we hope to see you April 30th, May 1st. Please check out our website for more information and different ways that you can engage with us on those days. Not only are there in-person opportunities, but we do offer some hybrid opportunities. So if you're not able to join us in person, there is that option as well. And yes, I'm tuning in from Chicago, and we are having some rainy weather. So those of you, I know it was the Wednesday that you wanted to stay under the covers, but hey, here we are at it. And Ivia is joining us today, our special guest. So one of our partners, Ivia Ortiz, who's our human resource specialist at the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. Ivia, buenos dias. How are you today?
Buenos dias. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm so excited to have you with us today to engage in this conversation. And first thing is first, because you're in Cafecito con HACE, how do you like your café prepared or your morning beverage of choice?
Definitely café. Black with a little sweetener.
Quick and to the point. Salud. She's got her coffee mug. How about you all joining us today from Houston? I see Sarasota, Florida. What are you all sipping on this morning? Drop in the chats and engage. Thank you all for joining us. So Ivia, one of the things that I love about our cafecitos, we get to hear from people with a wide array of experiences and backgrounds. So tell us about your professional, your cultural background. How do you get to what your role that you're leading today?
Well, I am Puerto Rican American, born and raised in Chicago. And I actually have now almost 30 years of experience in different human resources fields. I've been with the state of Illinois for just about 18 years now. And every one of my jobs throughout the time in my career just kind of happened to fall within employee benefits and human resources in general. And so it all kind of led me to this point where I get to do this recruitment with such a great agency that really does try to help the public. So it's very fulfilling.
A public service role, very fulfilling. I think that, and one of the things is it's making sure that folks understand the wide array, especially for some of us and a good majority of us that are first generation going into the professional workforce or first generation obtaining our college education. There's so much that we just don't know, right? In terms of what are the options and what you're doing in terms of the state of Illinois and the different agencies. I think it's important to share in terms of what are the meaningful career opportunities that you have available. And your career specifically spans across the children and family services, right? Labor and human services. And so can you tell us about this diversity in terms of experience and understanding, especially for professionals in the social service and government roles, in terms of how this has shaped your understanding and your evolution in your career?
Yes. So I started with the Department of Labor, and there I learned a lot about labor laws. I did a lot of translating for those that spoke Spanish and didn't always understand or have that access to get the translations done for them. So that was a great service that I found with state of Illinois agencies that they are offering. And not just Spanish speaking, but definitely other languages as well, including even American Sign Language. I thought that was such a wonderful thing to be able to connect with the communities that they serve. And then when I went with the Department of Human Services, I learned more about timekeeping and payroll, and then human resources by working in one of their facilities for the people that are living with developmental disabilities. And so I also got to see the kind of work that DHS does there and those services that they provide to the public as well before I came on over to DCFS. And of course, always trying to help support the investigators, case managers, and the various staff that we utilize to serve those children and families that may need those services.
That's amazing, and such important work and critical work that's needed, right? And of course that we're all concerned about these days as well. I know we've got people joining us as well. I saw New York in the house, and we've got, of course, Florida, because we got some of our colleagues out there, and then folks are sharing what they're sipping on this morning or during this time. So thank you all for joining us. And Ivia, you talked a little bit about your role and the evolution of your role. You also have a focus, right? You all, and I have the honor of serving as a commissioner for DC, for the Hispanic Employment Plan Council, which has been doing amazing work and really helping ensure that we are helping increase the pipeline of talent, Latino talent, right, within the workforce statewide and the various agencies, and specifically for Department of Children and Family Services. How do you help folks understand what's the opportunities available, whether it's and then what are the benefits, right, in terms of compensation, in terms of salary, and the value add, because this is mission driven work, right? And I think that that's sometimes a value that you can't put a number necessarily to it, depending, right? And it's purpose-driven work. And then you're talking about child welfare and social services. So it also takes a unique individual that is tied to the mission, that's purpose-driven. And that's one piece of it. But then we also want to understand, folks have to build wealth. Folks have to pay for things at the end of the day. So what's the compensation package that's beyond that, and then the salary?
So we have ways for, first of all, if you have the qualifications to be one of our investigators or case managers, there are a lot of different positions available, especially with bilingual skill sets added to that. So they do compensate for that as well. For those that are not quite there yet and are looking to work for the state of Illinois and for DCFS specifically, we've got some great opportunities like social service aides and child development aides that are like assistants to those investigators and case managers. We have clerical staff. So and then, all kinds of background positions is what I like to call them in general, that can kind of get you in the door. And we have one of the benefits being tuition reimbursement, so that you can potentially continue your education to get to the point where you become an investigator or case manager with DCFS. So if you're not quite there, we can help you get there. So that's definitely part of that benefits package. We have, of course, these great salaries. And I try to advise candidates or potential candidates to look at the job offers and look at the total compensation package. And what we mean by that is, don't just look at the salary. Salary is great, of course, absolutely. But you have to also look at things like paid time off, potential growth opportunities, things like the tuition reimbursement that I mentioned, different insurance packages. The state of Illinois is one of the entities that offer both retirement savings plans and a pension. One of the things that I've taken up.
And the pension, you want to say that out loud because that's very rare.
Right, you got to think about your future. We're not always going to be able to be doing the same thing when we're in our early 20s that we are when we're in our late 60s, if we still want to work at that point, right? So you got to plan for the future. So looking at that complete package is really important. And I think the state has a very wonderful package in general, just very well-rounded, so that when you look at the salaries and you look at those packages, those benefits, additional benefits together, it's very impressive. And I think that a lot of people aren't very aware of all of that other side of things, those benefits, those non-financial benefits that you don't necessarily consider, especially when you're young in your career. You're just starting off, you're just thinking, oh, dollar signs, that's great. But you also have to consider what else, what happens if you can't work today? Are you going to be paid? And what happens if you want to take time off because you adopted a child or you had a new child and you want to stay home with them for a while? Those are all things that the state of Illinois has compiled a wonderful package that provides payment and benefits for that, so that, we can hopefully balance the personal life in addition to doing this professional careers to help the public, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you also want to consider where's your calling, where your skills are. You always want to try to get a career that speaks to who you are inside, so that when you're getting up in the morning and tired and you're like, oh, I got to go to work, you're not thinking, oh, I got to go to work, and you're just disappointed in the fact that you have to do this. You're kind of thinking, at the end of the day, I'm tired, but I'm so grateful for what I feel like I contributed, so that in the morning when I get up to do it again, I'm happy to do it. I'm excited to do it. And it makes the work itself so much more fulfilling. It makes you joyful. It helps when you're communicating with families that are in situations they don't want to be in, right? And so coming with a positive energy towards that and with the understanding of that helps. And all of that kind of ties into making sure that you know where your calling is. And DCFS has programs to kind of help people figure that out too. We've got job shadowing and we've got academic internship for college students to kind of give us a shot, give us a try, come see what we're about. And you can see if that's where your skill sets are, right? And if it's not, we've got a lot of other jobs you can do too.
And you are clearly in it, right, with your longstanding career and the work that you're doing today. And so thank you for what you do for our communities and the service that you get to, you do with this role, and that you're bringing others along, right? I think that's important to understand, is saying that you're sharing here, and through our partnership, I know there's opportunities throughout the year where we want to just increase that visibility and that awareness about this. You talked also about the bilingualism, which I think that sometimes if we are Spanish speaking and English speaking, right, we don't realize that that's an asset, that's a value that's so needed in this workforce and just across the board. And so that also, right, is I believe you get additional comp for that, and being able to have that because there's such a need, right? And so definitely that way. I know we've got a couple questions coming in, and also I did see New Jersey in the house, so I just want to make sure I acknowledge, because we were asking about locations. But thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. And Ivia, and just, I know that you have a story as to why you do what you do. And I think for all of those listening that are looking to consider to either go into a public service role or department of the state of Illinois, I think it's important that we really tune in as to our why and that personal mission. So we've got Susana Sandoval that's asking, what are the greatest challenges you have faced in your profession in the government sector?
I think is that we don't have a lot of flexibility in some of the things and decisions that we can make. Government work, because we serve the public, we have to also abide by a lot of rules and regulations, laws, and maintain a lot of neutrality in different aspects, especially in human resources. That's a huge part of that, is maintaining the neutrality. So even though you may want to do things like private sector, they might be able to interview somebody right on the spot we don't have that ability. We have to, in order to maintain that neutrality, follow certain protocols. And it can be frustrating for the public. It can be frustrating for supervisors that are looking for staff. But if you can understand that the concept behind it is so that everybody gets a fair shot at, coming in and applying for positions and interviewing and being made those job offers, then you can understand the process a little bit better and be more accepting of it and not lose hope. That's the big thing. I want to push out there that, anybody that's trying to apply for a state of Illinois job, and especially with DCFS, that you don't stop applying. That's the big thing. People kind of get discouraged. They apply maybe once or twice and they don't hear anything back, or they hear something, they weren't chosen, and they get easily discouraged. With government jobs, you really have to be resilient and you have to really stay on top of that, continue to throw your hat in the ring so that whatever spot is made for you is what I say that it's going to happen. You just have to put yourself out there and keep doing it, right? Keep applying.
Yeah. You made a great point, right? In terms of it could be frustrating, but it's making sure that there's a fair process for all. So that things, takes time, right? And then, when you talked about the internships and opportunities, so do you have any advice for whether it's that, recent college grad to perhaps a person that's in a career transition, that's looking for their next opportunity? And maybe they're coming from the private sector and they want to. Do you have any advice for those two scenarios, like individuals in those two scenarios?
Yes. So we do have job shadowing that's open to everyone. As long as you're 18 years old, you can apply for that program. So we'll let you shadow our staff for up to 2 8-hour days. They don't give credit because it's a quick behind the scene look at DCFS. So it's a really good way to kind of see if DCFS is for you. Just a very quick thing, especially for college students before they commit to an entire internship. And that, again, is open to everyone. So that's one thing. The other thing is that if you're interested in becoming an investigator or a case manager with DCFS, getting exposure to child welfare casework is really important. We have people that are professionals in social work, but they've never dealt with child welfare because social work is such a broad career path, right? There's so many ways you can take advantage of that and work with so many different entities. And so getting that exposure to child welfare seems to be a really good indicator for whether or not that's your calling. And that's the key, is finding out if that's your calling, because DCFS and the people that work for DCFS, they're genuinely wanting to help children and families specifically. And, it's not work that's necessarily for everyone. So getting exposed to that in whatever capacity, whether it's through DCFS's shadowing or internship programs, or even with a private sector company that handles child welfare cases in conjunction with us, is really important and seems to really help you answer that question very quickly as to whether or not that's how you want to use your social work skill set.
That's amazing. That's an amazing opportunity. I think we'll love to share more with our audience joining here. So if we don't have it now, we'll make sure to drop if you all have a link or more information on that. And so the shadowing, you don't have to be, you have to be 18 over. So technically we could be a 50, 40-year-old, right? In transition, that would be open to them, right? Is what I'm understanding.
Absolutely. Yep. So you can definitely apply for it.
There you go. Well, thank you for sharing. We have to wrap up. Ivia, thank you so much for your time, your insights, and sharing these amazing opportunities and for what you do. Can you share with us what you're most hopeful for the remainder of this year?
I am most hopeful to see more of our Latino bilingual skill set social workers come on over to DCFS, and just in general pursuing more in the social work field. We have heard from a lot of our universities and partnerships with them that they've seen a decline in enrollment in social work. And so that's something that's going to affect the future. We need to see more. We need to see more of that. So if you have that calling, if you're considering that, really look into that. It's really important that we help each other. And really that is what social work is about, right? Is helping each other, whether you're with DCFS investigating child welfare cases, or working hand in hand with the family every day to make sure they're following those plans of actions that were put in place for them, or another type of social work. But we need to see that, and we really need to see the bilingual skill sets. You got to be able to read, speak, and write Spanish, especially because that's the one that we're really seeing the most need for. But again, if you're kind of on the verge of that, practice, please work on that. We really do need you. And then I just want to plug that if you guys have questions out there that we didn't get a chance to get to today and you want to send that in, you could definitely send it into dcfs.employment@illinois.gov. Or if you want to know when our next webinars are or any questions about job opportunities, send us an email. We'll do our best to get you that information.
Can you repeat the email address one more time?
Yes, it's dcfs.employment@illinois.gov.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Ivia, for joining us, for sharing your time, your insights with us. We're proud of our partnership and grateful for all that you do. All of you joining us, thank you for joining us. Y hasta la próxima. Until next time, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.